Britain has arrested another suspected spy. Another investigation, another political connection, and once again, no charges yet. So the question many people are quietly asking is, how many more are there? How many suspected spies does it take before a country starts feeling slightly uncomfortable? In Britain, apparently the answer is, not quite enough yet. Because every few months another story appears. Another expert explaining foreign interference. And the public reads the headline and thinks, wait, didn't we just have one of these? This week, it happened again. The latest figure in this story is a political consultant named David Taylor. He is 39 years old, a lobbyist, a political advisor, and the husband of Labour MP Jarni Reid. Taylor and 2 other men were arrested by counter-terror police in London and Wales. The suspicion? Assisting a foreign intelligence service. Homes were searched, phones examined, documents seized. Then, they were released on bail. Until May. Which in Britain means the investigation continues, politely. A familiar pattern. Now if this story feels familiar, you're not imagining it. Because just months ago Britain had another spy scandal involving a parliamentary researcher. Huge headlines, television debates, political outrage. And then, the case collapsed. Charges were dropped. Evidence insufficient. The story quietly disappeared. Which is why one commentator simply said on television, this is not the first time. In fact, it's becoming something of a British tradition. The quiet strategy. Modern espionage rarely looks like a movie. There are no laser beams, no secret briefcases, no dramatic rooftop chases. Instead, the modern strategy is much quieter. Build relationships. Enter professional networks. Join think tanks. Attend conferences. Exchange business cards. Over time, influence spreads through social connections, not secrets. Relationships, and that is exactly why cases like this make people nervous. The super embassy question. Meanwhile, a massive new Chinese embassy complex. Critics warn it could become far more than an embassy. They worry about surveillance, political pressure, influence operations. Supporters say those fears are exaggerated. But the discussion itself shows something important. Trust is fading. The royal connection. And then there was the rather awkward episode involving Prince Andrew. Reports revealed that a Chinese businessman with close connections to him had been banned from Britain over national security concerns. Suddenly the question wasn't just about politicians. It touched the royal family. Which in Britain is about as sensitive as it gets. When stories like that appear, people begin to wonder, how deep do these networks actually go? What does Beijing want? That leads to a bigger question. What exactly does the Chinese Communist Party want from Britain? Not invasion, not war, something much more subtle. Influence, technology, political understanding, economic leverage. Britain remains one of the world's major financial centers. London is a gateway to global capital. Universities produce advanced research, and Parliament influences international policy. For any major power, understanding that system is extremely valuable. The role of agents. Influence operations usually rely on several layers of people. Business intermediaries, consultants, academics, lobbyists. Sometimes people knowingly cooperate. Sometimes they simply think they are networking. And sometimes the most useful participants don't even realize they are part of a larger strategy. That's why intelligence experts often talk about influence networks, not just spies. The standard response. There is also a familiar diplomatic pattern. Whenever someone is accused of working for Beijing, the official response is predictable. Total denial, accusations of paranoia, claims of Cold War thinking, or the phrase we hear very often, this is a conspiracy theory. And the accused individuals themselves often say the same thing. Everything is misunderstanding, everything is coincidence, everything is unfair suspicion. Meanwhile, the investigations drag on for months, or years. The real damage. But the real damage is not always legal. It's social. Because when these stories appear again and again, something changes inside society. Trust weakens. People begin wondering who is connected to whom. Careers are destroyed. Reputations collapse. Even when charges are never proven. In other words, the system itself becomes unstable. Some critics argue that the greatest impact of foreign influence isn't espionage, it's confusion, division, suspicion, a slow erosion of confidence in institutions. Watch the previous analysis. If you've followed this channel, you'll know we've discussed several of these issues before. We've analyzed the embassy controversy. We've talked about influence networks. And we've examined previous cases involving political connections. So if you want the full picture, take a look at those earlier videos. Because this latest arrest is not an isolated story. It's part of a much larger pattern. Closing. And that brings us back to the original question. How many more? How many networks quietly operating in the background? How many investigations that never quite reach a courtroom? Britain prides itself on openness, on democracy, on fairness. Those are strengths, but they can also become vulnerabilities. And until the country decides exactly how to deal with that tension, the headlines may keep coming. Another arrest, another investigation, another quiet question from the public. How many more are there?